So in this video, I want to chat about Romeo and the potential kind of scenarios of moving forward with him, what that would look like as we transition into a new owner, and kind of his program currently and moving forward. If you're new here, Romeo is currently at auction with us. In about 14 days, depending on when you're watching this video, Romeo will be auctioned off and he will get a new owner, hopefully. And then we will transition him over and, get to know that new owner, figure out the best program for him moving forward. And that's kind of where we are now. So Romeo is a 4-year-old stallion, and there's a lot of kind of nuance in certain ways different from Lionheart. There's nuance in how we can manage that and the options that we have in the immediate future and in the ongoing future with Romeo. So the current plan in the next 2 weeks is to continue training him in his normal program that he has here with me. We work 4 days a week. And then I'll be making videos for you guys and keeping you guys kind of involved with how he's going, what he's doing, what his personality's like, what the performance aspects are like, what the training is like, things like that, so you guys get to know him. And then at the end of the auction period, hopefully he will find a new owner. And then from that place on, it will be a transition period to that program. And that depends on what you guys make that to be. So some owners live far away and will plan to ship him as soon as possible. That's great. And then he'll go to their program. I'll kind of come together with their team. We'll communicate about the best ways to make that as seamless as possible, and he'll ship out. And then I always stay involved as much as I can to help make sure that he settles in and kind of goes into that program successfully. But there are other options too, and I think a lot of people think about these options, but it's nice to kind of talk through them. So another option is for him to stay here, at least in the short term, and I can continue training him and working with him, and then somebody can either fly in occasionally or drive in occasionally and train with him and get to know him a little bit better. I can continue his training, and then at a future date, then we transition to another program. And the third option is that he stays in training here and I work with you guys in whatever capacity that looks like. So I develop him and keep training him indefinitely, and we go on from there. Now, in terms of the stallion management, and I think a lot of people have questions about this part of, I started looking for a horse, but I had no intention of buying a stallion, and I fell in love with Romeo. This is kind of, some people have told me this. I wouldn't shy away from that necessarily. So there's, especially at 4, sometimes when it's a 7 or an 8-year-old stallion, that may be a little bit different. It's a little bit harder on them to geld them at that age. But at 4 years old, you're still young enough that if you wanted to geld him, that is an option. So if you're looking for a gelding, and you don't want to have to deal with having a stallion in the barn, or maybe you're at a boarding facility and you can't have a stallion, or you simply don't want a stallion, that's an option. One thing with Romeo that I will say is that he is one of the easiest stallions that we've ever had. He stands in the cross ties next to the mares. He goes in the ring. He doesn't scream his head off. When you're leading him, he doesn't feel like you're going to die. He's really a gentleman. So there's that factor too, which is like, do I need to geld this horse not necessarily. So at this moment in time, I'm not overwhelmed by stallion behaviors where I'm like, I need to geld this horse. But it's always an option moving forward if that's something that you would want to do. Now, probably on the other extreme end of that is the actual stallion track itself. If you are interested in breeding, you're interested in the business of breeding, the track for Romeo would be figure out how to aim towards the North American Stallion Sport Test. I've done that test with many horses in the past, and he's very much on track for that. I think he will do very well at that, and that is coming up here in the fall. Now, the aim for the Stallion Sport Test would be to get him approved for Hanoverian. Hanoverian primarily, and then the other registries would be great. But if you can get him approved for that, then you can start breeding in the US. Romeo is already approved Mecklenburg in Germany. Now that's a big step because I think it really matters when they're approved in Germany. It's really difficult to get these horses approved. And when you already have that stamp from Europe, in my experience, that matters a lot. So it's helpful that then you walk into the Stallion Sport Test and you're saying he's already approved Mecklenburg. That will help you. It's already a stamp of approval instead of just walking in with nothing. So that would be the aim. And then you move forward into the breeding season next year, looking to, do some marketing, get him out there, get some breedings for him, get some foals on the ground, and then continue on that path with him. Can you merge a breeding track and a performance track? Absolutely. Like I've done that with Bodo. It's totally doable, especially with a horse of this temperament that's so chill and cool. And so I think that's totally an option if you're into that and that's kind of the track that you want to do. If you wanted to keep him a stallion and not pursue the breeding, that's totally an option as well. The other thing that I will say is there's also a North American Stallion Sport Test on the East Coast. And so you'd be in a short time frame to make that transition there. But it is doable. And Romeo is such that, a good, capable rider will be able to adjust to him and present him in the Stallion Sport Test. But you would want to try to make that transition relatively quickly, I think, meaning ship him soon, get to know him there so that you have as much time as you can before you have to present him at the test with a rider. If you did want me to present him, I'm totally open to do that. I can do that in October. I think the test is in October here. And then, he can ship after that to you guys, or it's kind of open-ended based on where you guys are and what you're wanting to do with him. I talked a lot in Lionheart's videos about the process and the other details of things like that. I think the most important part with Romeo was the stallion components, and that's a little bit different. But I think for most of the people who I've talked to who are interested in Romeo, it's a horse that he has a massive presence. And it's not just over video, it's even more in person when you see him. He has this way about him that draws you in visually, but not just visually, not in the beauty, but in his personality and in his presence. And so, I think it's a horse that a lot of people will be very connected to. It's a horse that in my barn, people walk through the barn and they know Romeo. And I'm excited to share that with you guys, and hopefully somebody will, a little bit like I said with Lionheart, someone will commit to Romeo and to taking care of that future vision and sharing that journey with him. because I think Romeo deserves it. It's a horse that is very, very special, and I'm excited with some of the people I've talked to that like, this is a really cool opportunity. This is a cool place for someone to be. That said, sometimes people are intimidated by this and they're like, oh, I'm an amateur and I can't take him and I feel like I won't do him justice or something like that. And I think that's a little bit, I don't think that's true. One of the best horses that I ever had here was a stallion that I sold, and he is living the absolute best life, an awesome life, and that is really what matters to me, that the horse is happy and cared for, and that journey is really committed, and formed together as you go. And that's what I care primarily about. And if there is a moment where it doesn't work or the partnership doesn't form, like, we're going to be here. We're going to be here to try to figure that out and resolve that and move forward with that. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I wanted to jump on here and say. And thanks for watching. If you want or need more information on the auction, I will link that down there in the description. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next video.